to. Hello, Ciara. How are you?
Good, thank you, Nizam. It's great to be here. Thank you for
And,
inviting me.
and thank you for giving me this opportunity to interview you. So, friends, we have Ciara here. She has completed the alchemical hypnotherapy training with David Quigley in 2009 and has been a practicing alchemist ever since. And she has assisted in trainings with Francois Gelland in France and Kim Lovell in England. After dabbling in personal development and spirituality for many years, she has decided to quit her permanent job as an environmental manager. Okay, so now you are taking care of internal environment.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
As within, so without.
yes. Because she felt like it was just existing and not really living. Alchemical hypnotherapy changed her life because she allowed herself to feel everything she had suppressed, journeyed the abyss, and emerged able to see beyond Maya, which what she has seen, what she has experienced. Friends, stay tuned. We'll be talking about from her own words. Of course, this work still continues. Her philosophy is as long as she is breathing, she has work on herself. Lovely, lovely.
Yeah,
Because people
exactly.
ask me like, "Nizam, until when do I do the inner work?" I said, until your last breath.
Yes, spot on. Exactly.
Yes. And her philosophy is as long as she's breathing, she's on working on herself, following her training. She learned other modalities such as rebirthing breathwork, medical intuition, and plant essence. She incorporates alchemical hypnosis techniques into rebirthing breathwork sessions. So I'll be providing all the required links. People who want to reach out under the description. So, welcome back. So, let us know more about your journey from your own words. How did you get into alchemical hypnosis?
So I was working at the time in a career doing very well. And like I said, I felt like I was existing. And I also had some weight issues. So I was looking for a hypnotherapist. And I did a search and found Kimberly Lovell in England. And when I read, what she did, this alchemical hypnotherapy, I was like, wow, this sounds really good. Not like the standard hypnotherapy, which is you've got a script and you put someone into trance and you read the script to them. But this was looking at the underlying causes of whatever is going on in your life, not just this life, but previous lives. So I was like, wow, this is fantastic. So I had a session with her. But when I went and looked at David's website after finding her, and as soon as I saw his website, I have to do this training. And it was this just inner calling
Okay.
that guy, I was guided to them. And I just thought, I don't know any comprehensive hypnotherapy school out there that does this depth that David goes to.
Yeah.
So and I went and did the training in 2009. And even though I'd done spiritual things and, dabbled in it, this was hardcore. It was like, you really have to confront what's going on inside of you and how you've created your life. And one quite funny thing is that it was in California, and without being too, like delicate, every day my poos were quite runny. And I was like,
Okay.
is the food really bad here or something? Because we'd eat out every day at a restaurant. And I'm like, is the food hygiene not good here? But no, I was letting go of
Okay.
all that stored up childhood stuff, just
Oh,
letting it go. And that was the proof to me that alchemical hypnotherapy really, really helped me. And it catapulted me it took a long time to get out of my career because it paid so well.
Yeah, okay.
And this is a
It
dilemma.
wasn't so easy
Yes,
to
we all face. Yeah, exactly. And it's at the end of the day, you need to make money.
yes.
Yeah, but I finally did, and I got out of my career, and now I just do this work and I teach rebirthing.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
So again, Ciara, so what I wanted to ask is,
Yeah.
UK has enough hypnosis training schools, but
Yeah.
still, see, of course, you have experienced a session and you
Yeah.
looked into David's website. Yet, if learning hypnosis was a choice, then
Mm.
you have enough training schools across
Yes.
UK. But what made you
Well,
to
this is
fly down to California and learn?
Well, do you know what? At the end of the day, it was the spiritual dimension of the work.
Yes. Wow.
We can all stay in our heads, and I'm a scientist. I am in my head, I'm analytical, but there is something else to life that is absolutely incredible that we cannot explain, and our mind cannot fathom the
Yeah.
expansiveness of, growing through spiritual practice, through spiritual interactions. And that's what this training offered, was because David Quigley's first wife was a shaman.
Okay.
And together they put together the alchemical hypnotherapy course. And this is where in the course you learn about contacting guides. And these guides could be your inner family, mother, father, an inner mate even, but these inner guides you interact with, and then you have other guides like a spiritual guide, and we talked about this yesterday, didn't we? Yeah. About how Babaji came to you, and he's your spiritual guide. As well as myself, that's something we have in common. And so this dimension, and it's not only understanding, being able to have an inner dialogue with these wonderful forces that can help us, but also looking at our soul's evolution.
Wow.
And are we actually learning the lessons that we set out to learn before we incarnated into Earth? And I love, because you completely understand this, whereas when you're talking to, they're like, what are you on about? Okay, so contacting our inner resources is incredibly important, because we do actually have the knowledge inside of us. Once we let our mind get out of the way and allow our spiritual resources to be heard. So the other thing that I was really impressed with when I first looked at the website was, David goes into depth about soul evolution. And for Westerners, this can be something that's quite, like, what, past lives? Now, interestingly, the Bible did talk about past lives before the 4th century BC, when and it was all taken out. So for over a millennia, the concept is not in everyday use, whereas it is in India. And it is really incredible to know that there is a whole purpose to your soul's evolution, and each time you incarnate, you have soul lessons that you need to learn and get through. Otherwise, you have to keep repeating them. And so, so oftentimes in sessions, people will go back to a past life, but we do it for therapeutic reasons, not for just, oh, let's have a look at where you were. All right. Okay. If you've got a fear of drowning, you might have drowned in a past life. So we would go back to that past life and then help rescue you or understand the situation, so that in this life you're not carrying that fear through. Yeah.
Wow.
For instance, one of the people on the training had been bitten by a spider and killed in a past life. And
Oh
in
my
this life,
gosh.
he had this real fear of spiders. And so going back to that situation and resolving it and knowing that in this life, you know, he has more control.
Wow.
So, you know,
Wow.
it really does help. And I'm sure that, you know, the students on your course had incidents where you went back to the
Yes,
past
yes,
and
yes.
then changed it. And it's nothing to be afraid of. It's basically finding what is impacting you now so that you can be freer in your life.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
So tell me
it
about
is.
your experiences. Did you get to see your past lives? Did you get to meet your guides?
Yes. So actually, on the very first day of the training, I absolutely freaked out when we got to the practical, and you know, you had to write a script to put a person into trance, and I started crying. And I'm like, what is this about? Like crying because I'm putting, you know, okay, I was nervous because I hadn't done anything like this before, but that's something that is over the top, really, you know, crying because, and I just couldn't do it. And I freaked out. And so I had a session with one of the assistants, and we went back to a past life where I had been persecuted for doing natural healing
Oh my
techniques.
God. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And so I'd been killed for doing this. And that totally resolved, you know, that next day I went to it, not a problem at all. So, you know, it really is powerful doing this work.
Wow.
Yeah, with past lives. So I also something else that made me because you know often you go, oh, is this real?
Yes.
So in
Yes.
that session with the assistant, yeah, exactly. In the session with the assistant, I said to her, oh, this word keeps coming to me, and I didn't want to say it because I felt stupid. And this is what happens when you're in a situation, you know, your mind is telling you, oh, stop being so stupid. But I finally decided to say, okay, I'm going to say it. And I said to the assistant, this word Tiwa keeps coming to me. And she said, oh, well, you're really lucky. I studied anthropology at university, and that's a Native American tribe in New Mexico, the Tiwa. And I was like, wow. And she said, you know, like they're really interesting. And a few years later, when I was back in the States, I visited Taos Pueblo, where this area of this tribe was. And my whole, like I had goosebumps, my whole
Wow.
body was vibrating, and I so resonated with it. And
Wow.
that was a wonderful past life that I'd had in that
Amazing.
area.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the important thing for people when they are going to embark on having hypnotherapy is resistance.
Okay.
And it's fear and resistance. So it's really important that any therapist builds trust with their clients, because you know the mind will tell us so many things to get us out of doing it because it does not want to relinquish control. And a lot of Hindu and Buddhist teachings talk about how to master your mind through meditation. And hypnotherapy is a bit like that, because you are having to master your mind and say, hey, shut up. You know, I literally do that. I say, shut up, get out of the way. You don't know, because when you've experienced something immensely profound, it doesn't matter what the ego says. The ego is that little part of you that's scared and wants to keep control. But the most important thing is to realize this process is great and it does work, but you've got to allow it.
Yes. And What would you say, like, connecting to the inner family, right, Kiara? So
Yeah.
are
So,
we, some people have this doubt that are we living in an imaginary world with my inner family? What about my biological parents, etc., etc.? So could you please share your own experience?
well,
What's
I
your
say to them, yes, you are living in an imaginary world with the inner family. And isn't it fantastic?
okay?
Isn't it? If you just let your mind go for 1 minute and allow yourself to experience connecting with an inner mother. So I had a client once who she had a really difficult relationship with her mother. Her mother was very stoic,
Mhm.
unemotional, not nurturing. And she'd taken constipation prescription medication her entire life, and she was in her mid-50s.
Hmm.
We did an inner child session with her where she met her inner mother and felt, and you tangibly feel it when you go through the process. The energy is there, and it's all about bringing energy in that you missed in your unmet childhood needs. And Mother Mary came to her and she's like, oh, I love Mother Mary. And you know what? She's never taken the medications again. The
Wow.
very next day, she was very successful in letting go. And it was it was fantastic to hear she didn't need that medication anymore. Now, I'm not saying, oh yeah, give up your medication. No.
Yes, yes, it
Yeah,
happens
it
naturally.
happens. So it happens naturally after a big release.
Yes. So,
And
Kiara,
I
yeah, please.
also, with my own, when I connected with my inner mother, she
Okay.
was an angel and she had like angel wings, and I could
Wow.
feel the feathers on my face. It was just amazing. And actually, by doing this work, it improved my relationship with my mother.
Wow.
So sometimes for some clients, what we recommend is if their parents are toxic, you need to do the inner work yourself first before you can have communication and a good relationship. Because if you go back into that toxicity, you're just going to fall. You need to continue doing the work. And this is really important, that it's not just a one-time thing that you connect with this inner mother. You really have to bring that inner mother or father into your life and
Mhm.
continually meet with them. And a lot of people don't. And I didn't when I first did it. I completely missed that bit when we did it in the training, because sometimes, you block out things, unconsciously. And it was later that I actually made it a daily spiritual practice.
Wow. So let us
Mm,
bring some analytical part here, Kara.
yeah.
Okay, since you also said you're equally analytical, that you need evidence to believe it. So
Yeah.
if a person has, okay, now they have identified their inner family, but
Yeah.
again somewhere an analytical part kicks in, like, oh, what am I doing? Am I not, in the reality, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So what's your
So
suggestion? Who don't
yeah, well,
feel and who feel that.
you see, yeah, you just have to get them to anchor those feelings that they felt.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, the feelings they felt during that interaction
Mhm.
that they got. And it's like, hey, mind, you can't make this stuff up, can you?
Okay.
Once you experience that energy, and it really is about energy, that energy of, oh, I feel nurtured. Or if your father wasn't present when you were growing up, I feel protected. That's a father's job. A father's job is to protect his family. And then if you feel that masculine energy of protection, you've got it. And it's
Wow.
like, hey, mind, stop it.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah, and it really is going to that, feeling it and allowing. Or for men who don't feel as much, notice energetic changes in your body. And it's like, hey, mind, you can't do this, can you? It was something greater that came within me.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. And please tell me
So
more.
when I have experiences that my mind cannot explain, my mind actually gives way and goes, okay, all right.
Wonderful. I'm not there. I'm not going to disturb. Yes. Okay. Could you please share about your guides?
About
About your guides?
my guides. Okay, so as we spoke before, Babaji initially came into my, I didn't actually know who he was, funnily enough. He came in as a spiritual guide during the training, this like bald-headed guy, and he was just so lovely. And it wasn't until 2012 and I did a breathwork training in Glastonbury, and the trainer showed this picture of Babaji, and I'm like, that's him. And she said, I take people to India every year, to Navaratri, to his ashram, and I went, I'm coming straight away. And it's just having that inner resource where you just have to get still your mind, and then call in, ask for advice, and it's given to you. Yeah. So he's had always been a big influence in my life, and yeah. Awesome. And he guides me. Yeah.
Great. So Ciara, could you please tell more about once a person connects to inner family, or a guide, what else can they do after identifying, after establishing a connection? What do they do? How can they utilize?
Okay, so this is where your childlike creativity comes into play. And yeah, it's your imagination. So what? Okay, because I've stepped from a very left brain career, seriously analytical. And from doing this work, I'd pushed down all my creativity because my mind was in control, saying, oh, all of that's rubbish. We have to analyze things. It has to be like this and blah, blah, rules and regulations. No, once you start allowing your creativity to flourish. So, okay, I connect with my inner mother, and we might go out into the garden and have a doll's tea party or something, like, we might do an activity together. Or she might, or one day I might need a hug. So I'll grab a pillow and I'll hold it, and I'll feel my inner mother just giving me that wonderful hug. Wow. And then if I need to say anything about how I'm feeling, she'll be there for me. So it's really a good facilitator, a hypnotherapist, will always give you homework to do. And they'll give you information on how to connect every day, even if it's for 1 minute. You need to, every day after you've had that session, for a week at least, for 1 minute, connect with whatever guide that if it was a spiritual guide, then you'd sit down and get into a nice space, let your mind go, maybe put on some music to help your mind settle, and then ask a question and wait for an answer.
Wow, amazing, right? Yeah. So this is the subject I found, like, it blew my mind. What a unique protocols are this, right?
They are very unique, because very, very few hypnotherapy schools teach this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so
yeah, please, you're telling something.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, it's really important
Mhm.
that you do put your mind out of the way,
Okay.
because and yeah, we've been through that. So put your mind out of the way and allow yourself to do the practice.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Ciara, could you please share some of your personal benefits you have derived out of this alchemical hypnosis training?
Wow. Well, so when you get onto the advanced subjects, there's one called psychodrama,
Mhm.
where you mock up a situation from, say, a childhood incident, and everybody who's there becomes a character that was there at the incident. And it was really, I had an incident where I was attacked, and so we recreated it. And as I was attacked, I released the energy of the fear that I was holding in my body. And the men that were there present went, wow, they really felt it. And this is why I'm saying it's energy. It's all about releasing energy that's trapped in your system. And, it was palpable. People could feel the release when it happened. And when things like that happen, it really shifts in your life. Now, I always say, as long as we breathe, we need to keep working on ourselves, because you've just opened one level of a situation. And actually, I do encourage people to try other modalities as well, because you might get it from a different angle,
Yes.
in the future, if it's something that's very deep, particularly. Yeah.
Awesome. And could you?
There are incidences where, say, you were at preschool
Mhm.
and you were on a trampoline, and one of the boys came over and said, hey, get off, I want to go now. And you'd only just got on there, so it wasn't like you'd been on there. Going back in a hypnotherapy session, and what we'd do is change the situation. You'd stand in your power and go, no, this is my turn, I'm staying here. Now, that tiny incident might be affecting you as an adult, so actually changing it will give you more confidence in dealing with people. And that's what I found as well. So small
So,
incidences and deep incidences.
yes.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Awesome.
So yeah, I gained so much from doing it. And then I did go on to learn other modalities, which were, we've got this expression woo-woo, meaning out there.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
much woo-woo word is coming up.
And then
Yes.
my mind got on board with it all and actually enjoyed it, because then it's analyzing how it's actually happening. And
True.
yeah.
And Ciara, could you please share some of the case studies where you have helped people using alchemical hypnosis, which you feel wow, which brought a wow factor? Like you shared one about this lady for using constipation medicine for life.
Exactly. Yes. So I had another client who had anorexia.
Okay.
And what we found was, when we went back to her childhood, she had a father that was always busy working. He was never really present or there.
Mhm.
Okay, so the way she developed of dealing with this was, if I become perfect, my father will love me. So to gain
Okay.
her father's love, she'd be perfect in everything, making sure her marks at school were perfect, and that wasn't good enough. It didn't get her father's. And so then she's like, right, if I have a perfect body, maybe my father will take, this is how the mind works. It finds weird ways of, and that's how she created the anorexia. Because then if she looked perfect, that would bring her love, and it didn't. And so she had an amazing release, let it go, and is a lot more comfortable with what she eats now and enjoying food.
Wow.
Yeah. So what I have done since doing rebirthing breath work, which looks at birth, I've now extended the protocols for inner mother and inner father, where I help people set up a perfect birth. So our birth actually sets up our life. If you think about it, it's our first introduction to the world. I mean, we know conception and being in the womb also impacts our life, but our actual birth is so incredibly important, and it's so mechanicalized in a hospital. It's not natural anymore. You know, you're lying down, and that's because Charles XIV, the French king, had a fetish for watching his wives and mistresses giving birth. So they had to lie down. Before that, women sat on stools. And it's not natural to be pushing that way and not with gravity. Anyway, so birth is important. For instance, if you are a cesarean birth, you're not being born when you want to be born. It's at someone else's, you know, to suit the surgeon, to suit the parents. You know, I had a friend whose father, they had a planned cesarean because the day was a public holiday and he could be there. So on the one hand, he could be present at the birth, but on the other hand, you know, you have all the life issues of being a cesarean, which is giving your power away to higher authorities. So you always have to get people to help you out of situations and then get angry at them for doing that. So I help people. So let's say you had a cesarean birth. I'm like, okay, you've got a loving inner mother and a loving inner father. Let's go to the womb. Now is your time for birth, and you are coming out on your own. I want you to imagine coming through the birth canal. What's the situation you come into? So I had one client who he's like, oh, I want to be in a pool with a waterfall, a natural pool in Hawaii. And the water's lovely and warm. And I've just got this small group of people cheering me and welcoming me. And I mean, imagine how that sets your life up. To be welcomed into the world lovingly in the water. And you know, people say afterwards, okay, it's not going to change everything, but they really feel a difference. Like, I want to be here. And that's one of a very big problem, is that if we're really honest with ourselves, sometimes we might go through a period where, like, what am I doing here? You know, this life is so hard and difficult. Yeah, because you probably had an awful birth that was quite violent. And we actually recreate incidences of our birth. And if let's say you had a cord around your neck, you know, you don't like wearing ties because of that constriction on you. So creating something that, you know, you want to come into this world and love being here, because at the end of the day, you know, we can create heaven actually on earth. Yes. And we can really enjoy our lives once we get rid of all this stuff that we're carrying. So wouldn't it? And create a better world. And I did. So Julie and Francois Gerland in France, who are alchemical trainers, Julie speaks at the United Nations about, you know, conscious birth. And I stayed with them many times and interned and helped Julie. And this work is so incredible because we need healthy births to create a healthy earth.
So true. So true.
Yeah. However, after saying all of that, I wouldn't be the person I am without all my traumas in life and difficulties. So, and the challenge is to get through it and work through whatever circumstances you're coming at. and find the right facilitators for you, someone you resonate with that can help you and guide you. Because
Awesome.
actually, at the end of the day, it's you doing the work. You're responsible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ciara, for your time and sharing your personal journey with alchemical hypnosis. Also, some of the profound case studies you have worked with. And it is
Yes.
wonderful talking to you.
Thank you very much. And so I hope that a lot of people reach out to you now and have sessions with you, because honestly, this work is good if you let it.
So true. And friends, whoever is interested to know more about Ciara's work, I'm making all the social media links and website, everything. So you can feel free to reach out to her for most profound, breathwork sessions or combined with alchemical hypnosis,
Yeah.
whatever resonates with you. And Ciara is there. Thank you once again, Ciara.
Fantastic. And I love coming to India. I come every
Please.
year outside of COVID. So yeah.
Hope to meet
Okay,
you
thank you
one
so
day.
much, Nisam.
Thank you. Bye.